on KUMTV and on YouTube. On February 16th, Unity in Our Diversity, the Stokes Family Legacy will be held at the Touchpoint Church of God. Joining me now is Carla Smith with a guest speaker for the event, Dr. Samuel Betances. Half a day, and hello to you both.
Half a day.
Good to be here.
Yes, good to have both of you here. I appreciate your insight in this. Carla, I'd like to start with you. You are with the Guam Black Network.
Yes, I am.
Of course, this is a amazing time to learn of Black history, to celebrate this, and make sure that a younger generation knows the true meaning of the history of the Black experience in our country. So what's being done throughout this month to do just that?
Well, the first thing we're going to do, the Guam Black Network is having a celebration on the 16th of February, as you mentioned, at the Touchpoint Church of God. And we're going to showcase the Stokes family, which is a very prominent family in the American civil rights struggle. And Dr. Betances will speak about that. And we're excited to do this program because when I was going to UOG, I had a lot of students who were people of mixed heritage, and they had a lot of questions about the African American side. And it's a time to just really get out and showcase the contributions of African Americans here on the island, and to network and just to get to know each other a little better.
Is African American history a course now at UOG? It wasn't when I was there in like the early 90s, but unfortunately it was not. I hope that it would be at this point.
Not to my knowledge. I did do some research when I did attend UOG, and my thesis was on the contributions of African Americans to Guam, and that's how I met Dr. Betances.
Very
and
nice.
so if you would ever like to read it, I can send you a copy, but they have some really good information, and we'll be sharing that at the conference as well.
Oh, I would love to read that. So Dr. B, what the Stokes family? Yeah,
Carl Stokes
very significant.
was the first African American president, mayor of a big city in the United States, and he was fascinating. He was very good-looking, very articulate, but very inclusive. He said to people, "Don't vote for me just because I'm Black, but don't vote against me because I'm Black." And he was able to win a lot of support, got elected. His brother Louis went on to Congress, and they paved the way eventually for major figures like Obama. But more importantly, the fact that they did so well in promoting education and assistance to veterans and in healthcare. There's even one particular grant that was just accepted by the University of Guam that came out of what is called the Louis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation this past year. And of course, for Black people in the United States, as they move for civil rights inclusion, that included women, people with disabilities, gay folks, Latinos, indigenous. So even the victory that Guam has just celebrated in electing Leon Guerrero and all these women who are making waves, all of that stuff, Title IX in sports and in the area, that came out of really the Black experience. And the Stokes family, mom would clean house and told her kids from the projects, get something in your head. They got something in their head, they became lawyers, and they made changes that has blessed all of us.
Now, as an educator, and yourself working in education, how do we make sure again that young people, because my parents were in college around the time of the civil rights events. I kind of grew up with them talking about that, based on their own experience. But young people these days can probably only learn about it from some Wikipedia article or anecdotally and everything. How do we actually make sure they know that the struggle that went on them, those lessons are not lost, and there has been progress to this date to some degree?
Well, I do that in my classes that I teach at GCC. And I have a colleague, Jim Healy, who also teaches at Simon Sanchez. He uses the same approach to really use the African American experience as a foundation for other people of color for their struggle. And so I teach American history and I teach the civil rights movement in my class, but I also parallel it to the struggle here in Guam. Like Dr. Underwood and Dr. Betances have brought about changes because of the things that they learned from the Black experience. And so I parallel that and I teach that to my students.
All right, very excellent. Now, one thing that I also find very remarkable is I know when it's been Black History Month in past years here on Guam, your organization, the Guam Black Network, is it primarily operates on the bases right now, but you're actually taking it off the base as part of your activities?
No, it's mostly people who are off base.
Okay.
And it's not all African Americans. and it's about 30 of us, and we meet to do events like this to spread awareness and to just network and let people know we're out there and we're bringing positive things to the island and to let you know that we're here for you, any kind of information. And also, I'd like to say that we have a Facebook page, and we use it to put primarily positive things about African Americans and some of our struggles too, and other things of interest, so that we get a lot of good hits.
Okay, so Dr. B, with this month being such an important time, like not just for, with respect to African Americans, but for all people. And, we just celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Day, of course, a couple weeks ago. A very moving thing I saw when I was watching the Super Bowl. His daughter was actually part of the coin toss ceremony. Again, how do we make sure that philosophy and his passion and his true message affecting all people, how do we make sure that's not lost on current and future generations?
Well, to realize that Dr. King's Day is not just a black holiday.
Right.
And Black History Month is really not just about black people, but how to create coalitions of interest, not coalitions of color. But one of the things you mentioned that is lost to this generation, one of the most wonderful things about this generation is that they have technology and they have videos and they have TED Talks, they have all kinds of things. So teachers can include as illustration how not only Black lives matter, our lives matter, and we got to remember that the most important thing, God doesn't make junk, and He made us the way we are.
Very true.